Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm going to get right into it. Today I'm painting a gouache study of a peak in Glacier National Park. And I'll just chat a little bit about my process in the beginning here, and then I'll put on some gentle music. Here I'm just taping off my area. I got this tape from Choosing Keeping art store out of London, and I love it. It's really low tack, and this 140-pound watercolor paper. This is Saunders Waterford watercolor paper. It works really well with this tape. It doesn't pull off any of the paper. Here I'm just blocking out my sketch. I did kind of cheat and used a little template. I just wanted to make sure I got the proportions for the mountain perfectly right. I know a lot of friends who climb these mountains and they like to look at my paintings and say, oh, I went up that ridge and there. So I just want to get the ridge right. So when I'm concerned about that, sometimes I'll make a little template. So I just laid out my paints. One of the ways that I like to work is with a limited palette, so 4 or 5 colors plus your black and your white. And today I am using just a little butcher tray with a bit of paper towel. You add a little bit of water to the paper towel, then put your paints down, and they stay wet for quite a while if you spray them down occasionally. But you can kind of see I maybe used a little bit too much water when I soaked my paper towel, because you can see some of my paints are bleeding out a little bit. So if you're going to use this method, maybe use a little less water when you put your paper towel down, and you'll waste less paint, but it's minuscule. So I'm just blocking in my kind of underneath colors, and now kind of looking for the darkest areas. I like to work with gouache. It's nice to kind of work from dark to light. Once you put on your white or you start mixing with your white, it can be harder to go down to dark, I find. So I'm kind of just trying to look at my reference and find those darkest places, and then I sort of build that up. There's a lot of gray in this mountain, so I'm in a lot of different tones. In Glacier there's rocks that are green and kind of sky blue and then red and yellow. So as I'm blocking in the grays and the blues and the shadows, I'm kind of also thinking about how I'm going to get those colors in there. I'm doing another kind of lightening up the sky a bit here, another layer on the sky, and I might pop in and talk a little bit more about that later. But for now, I'm just going to put on a little music. So this is day 2. I kind of let my gouache dry overnight, and I'm reactivating it with a little bit of water, laying out some fresh paints. I noticed that my watercolor paper did buckle a little bit, so I'm adding a rubber band to kind of secure it down. It's not really a big deal. I'll flatten it later. When it's all done, I'll put a couple books on top of the watercolor pad and weigh it down, and it should flatten right out with no problems. I'm putting in the final details on this painting. It's almost done. I felt like the sky could have used a little more blending, so I go back in with a big brush here and I'm really pushing that white kind of out as much as I can and just barely any water, just reactivating it to try to get it to blend with the sky a little bit more. These Mare's Tails clouds are just so wispy and soft, so they're a bit of a challenge to do with this medium. Hope you enjoyed this little speed paint. Give the channel a subscribe and a like, and I'll hopefully be sharing more of these with you. Thanks for watching.